This is Channel 25 WVTT Olean. Now, from the Twin Tiers' biggest broadcast news operation, this is the 6 o'clock report with Jeff Andrulonis and Alexa Olson. Listen on News Radio 96.7 WVTT or watch on News Channel 25 WVTT television. WVTT proudly presents the 6 o'clock report.
Good evening, I'm Alexa Olson.
And I'm Jeff Andrulonis. Good evening. The Syrian Foreign Ministry says that its military was acting in self-defense when it shot down a Turkish military jet 3 days ago. A spokesman says Syria's airspace and sovereignty were violated, and he's accusing Turkey of trying to demonize his country.
Ivan Watson has the latest on the rising tension between the two countries over the incident.
Two Middle Eastern neighbors, Syria and Turkey, are now engaged in an escalating war of words after Syrian anti-aircraft fire brought down a Turkish warplane in the eastern Mediterranean on Friday. Syria calling it an act of self-defense, Turkey calling it an act of aggression.
Regardless of whether it's a training mission or reconnaissance mission, it was a violation and Syria was acting in self-defense. There is a campaign against Syria. They want to make a devil out of Syria, and whenever they fail, they come up with other evil methods to do it.
Syria in cold blood targeted and shot down our unarmed solo plane in flight over international airspace.
Now, if the Turkish account can be believed, Syrian anti-aircraft defenses appeared to have been quite trigger-happy on Friday. The Turkish government accusing the Syrians of then opening fire after bringing down the first aircraft on Friday, opening fire on a second slow-moving Kasa propeller transport plane that was sent into Syrian airspace to look for the missing Turkish F-4 Phantom jet, as well as its two missing crew members who are still missing some 4 days later. The Turkish Kasa plane was not hit, but that just shows how tense the situation was in the hours after the initial warplane was brought down. The Turks claiming that this was a reconnaissance mission and then their plane was not armed. Now, Turkey is trying to muster international support to respond to what they're calling an act of aggression, calling on an urgent meeting of their NATO military allies in Brussels on Tuesday. The question is, what steps can the Turks now take? Already, relations between these two allies had been frayed since Turkey withdrew its ambassador from Damascus in protest over the ongoing crisis inside Syria and the widespread allegations of Syrian human rights abuses that have led to the deaths of thousands of Syrian civilians at the hands of Syrian security forces. The Turks have also provided a safe haven to Syrian dissidents and armed rebels, and repeatedly the Turkish Prime Minister has called on his Syrian counterpart, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, to step down. What measures are left that Turkey can take? Turkish diplomats telling CNN they do not want to rush headlong into an armed conflict, but they're definitely under pressure to show some kind of muscular response to the loss not only of their jet, but also quite possibly of two of their airmen. Ivan Watson, CNN, Istanbul.
Lots to report as the primary 2012 elections continue. A special federal primary election is taking place right now through 9 o'clock tonight in New York State. Voters are choosing who they want to run against Tom Reed in the November elections, in addition to picking a nominee for the 27th congressional seat and also a candidate to run against Democrat New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand.
State primaries are usually held in September, so having one in June is pretty unusual. U.S. Congressman Tom Reed says that because of these unusual circumstances, voters may not know about these primaries.
I think we have a unique situation in the June 26th primary today in that it's an unusual circumstance. It was a primary date set by the court, so people aren't expecting that it would occur on today. It's not part of the normal process, and so that's probably going to contribute to the low turnout. We're going to let the people decide, and then we'll stand behind whoever comes out of the primary.
It's been 40 years since the last New York State primary was scheduled for the month of June.
Wendy Long, Bob Turner, and George Maragos are the Republican primary candidates for the United States Senator seat currently held by Senator Gillibrand. WVTT had a camera crew at a polling place in Olean earlier today where some voters said that they weren't bothered by the elections taking place in June.
I am a member of the Republican Party, but right now I don't see the way they see things. I don't agree with what's going on right now, and these people think they're Reagan Republicans. They don't know what they're talking about. I just came here because I had to, because I am a Republican, but not for long.
Nate Shinagawa, who is one of the Democrats running in the primaries today, hoping to face off against Congressman Tom Reed in November, says that having the primaries in June could mean a low turnout for this election.
Well, I think this early primary means that it's going to be a low turnout, and that's why it's very, very important for us to have a strong organization getting out the vote. And we've talked to over 30,000 voters so far in this election with direct conversations. We've made several thousand phone calls in the past couple of days, and I've traveled across the entire district. I was in every one of the counties over the past 3 days, also getting out the vote. And so hopefully that will help out. But I think it will come down to only a few thousand votes in terms of how we'll win.
The battle continues between the Seneca Nation of Indians and New York State. And believe it or not, your car could be the victim of the war. More as the 6 o'clock report continues here on WVTT.